Welcome back everyone, Mariah Monetize here, and in today's video we are talking about the potential upcoming changes for the Act 60 program in Puerto Rico. So just to kind of give you the backstory, I moved to Puerto Rico in 2018. To be completely honest with you, I really didn't know much about Puerto Rico before moving here, but I learned about the tax incentives that Puerto Rico offered first through John Hayden. He did an interview that I came across on YouTube, and then I also came across my friend Sean King's blog post on Steemit about the opportunity in Puerto Rico, basically 0% capital gains tax and 4% corporate tax. And the offer was extremely appealing to me because if I stayed in California, I was going to basically need to get a job or start a second business to pay the taxes on the cryptocurrency gains that I had. And obviously, I was still going to owe from that point on, but I was thinking about the long term of my cryptocurrency and where I saw it potentially headed, in the next decade. So Puerto Rico became a very appealing option, and I came here knowing absolutely nobody with 3 suitcases. And at first, I was very unsure about this place, but within no time, Puerto Rico really grew on me, and it's been 3 years, and I'm still in the honeymoon phase. So the tax incentives started in 2012, I believe, and 0% capital gains, 4% corporate tax. And the program has slightly changed over the years in terms of the qualifications that it takes to be able to receive these decrees. For example, the first wave of people, they had to hire locals here in Puerto Rico. They had to basically hire people, have employees. It was a specific amount. I think it was 3. And then Puerto Rico got away from that to where you didn't have to have employees. So what's been happening is they first started the program, and I think that it didn't attract as many people as they anticipated. But at the same time, it's not really advertised. A lot of people in the States didn't know about it. So at first, they had their set rules of what it took to receive those decrees. And I think what happened was they wanted to attract more people to the island, so then they lessened basically what it took to be able to qualify for the decree. Let me give you an example. So I actually have an Act 22, which is 0% capital gains. And when I applied for my decree, there was 0 obligation for me to have to purchase a home within 2 years. That was something that the previous decree holders had to actually do. They had to purchase a home within 2 years after being here. So the qualifications when it comes to purchasing a house or when it comes to number of employees has shifted back and forth over the years. So as soon as Puerto Rico made it easier for people to qualify for the decree, it created this big wave of people, but then it was kind of like it was too many, so then they changed it back to make it more difficult and more qualifications. So they have just gone back and forth. They've changed it constantly. And they also have done some pretty other shady things in that same realm. For example, they changed a $300 filing fee to a $5,000 filing fee. Okay, and so that they made it so where people that were already decree holders would still have to pay that $5,000 filing fee. It wasn't just for new people applying, it was basically retroactive for all the previous people that had decrees. And it gets even worse. They proposed this in 2020, and I just received notification that I need to pay a $5,000 filing fee for 2019. So they literally proposed this in 2020, and they made it retroactive to 2019. The level of shadiness here is just never ending. And so there's more. It's not like the price is right when there's like more behind another door. Okay, it's no prizes here. It only gets worse. So amendments formally proposed for Act 2022. It's now called Act 60. The spokesperson of the New Progressive Party in the Senate, Thomas Rivera, introduced a new bill to amend Act 2022 by implementing new tax rates in a bid to obtain greater government revenues and create new jobs while providing attractive benefits for high-end investors. So, for example, when I applied for Act 22, it was basically a situation where you didn't have to have like tens or hundreds of millions of dollars for the move to Puerto Rico to make sense to you. With the new proposal, they are only trying to attract the ultra wealthy. And in my opinion, Puerto Rico just needs to attract more people in general, more business-minded people in general. There's been a massive brain drain in Puerto Rico. Also, the population of age 0 to 5 has declined 50% in the last decade. So the population decrease is something very scary, and I don't know why they're trying to only attract super wealthy business people and investors, when I think Puerto Rico should just be attracting people in general, because this place the population needs to increase, right? I mean, the economy can never grow if the population continues to decline. So the first scenario proposes a 12% tax rate for all capital earnings by every individual who relocates to Puerto Rico but is not investing or creating jobs on the island. The second offers a preferential tax rate of 5% on capital gains as long as it meets a minimum investment of $5 million and the creation of 5 to 10 new jobs. So it's looking like they're giving you the option. You can either pay 12% or you can pay 5%, invest $5 million and create between 5 and 10 jobs. This is something to keep in mind. I don't think it's extremely likely that the 12% will pass, okay? But you just never know. I say that because what tends to happen is they propose some ridiculous amounts and then they end up negotiating like somewhere in the middle. So I wouldn't be super surprised if it falls between like 5 and 8%. And so with, 42 point something tax rate when it comes to capital gains being proposed in the States, 12% is still somewhat reasonable and doable, but it doesn't make it as appealing, because this is the thing, is that if you're someone who really finds a lot of value and it's very important for you to have all the amenities and the conveniences that the states have to offer, Puerto Rico doesn't have that, okay? So that's one thing, is that if you are very business oriented and you just need to get things done, you're gonna have issues when it comes to finding these employees that they want you to employ. They're going to be late. They're never going to show up. It's a massive, massive issue here. So having employees is a headache more than anything else here. I mean, I literally went to the car wash the other day and the lady barely was able to take my car. And I was like, are you guys closed on Tuesdays? You weren't open yesterday. She said, oh, nobody showed up to work yesterday. And the following day, one of the employees showed up to work. So I've been seeing all over the place bonuses for people, like $750 bonus for Taco Bell. And there was somewhere else I also saw like a $1,200 bonus to work at another place. So the issues are so massive here when it comes to employment. So that is just, it doesn't make it as sweet of a deal. With 0% capital gains, it's a no-brainer. It's like, all right, let's get on a plane and let's go to Puerto Rico now. But with this 12%, that really makes people rethink it. And like, I was reading through the comments on Facebook, people were basically saying like, I have a pending condo basically, and if this passes, they're like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm canceling this transaction, I'm not moving to Puerto Rico. So I don't think Puerto Rico is going to attract very many people if they go up to this greedy 12%, which I think is ridiculous. This is what I would prefer instead of the 12%. This is the thing, the Puerto Rican government cannot be trusted with tax dollars, okay? Not be trusted at all. They can't be trusted with anything, okay? So this is the thing, is that I think they should, instead of any percentage to the government, it should be like, you have to spend this amount in this category, and like just different, basically, like, right now I have to have a $5,000 donation to a nonprofit. But what if it's just like, okay, you have to invest like this amount in real estate or this amount in something else. And the $5 million is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There is no reason why today, whoever moves to Puerto Rico should pay 0% when the national average is over 24%. Well, maybe it's because we have to deal with you guys doing shady things like changing the filing fee from $300 to $5,000. It's not the $5,000 that's the situation. The situation is the principle of it. If they know that they can get away with increasing it 1,500%, then like what's next? Like what kind of shady retroactive thing are they going to do next? That's the problem. It's the principle. It's not the $5,000. The idea of these changes is to promote a bigger impact on the local economy. So why don't you attract more people to the island? It doesn't have to just be the ultra wealthy. It should just be a bigger scope of people that they should be attracting to the island. It is important to make clear that this is perspective. In Puerto Rico, we are a jurisdiction of law and order, and therefore we will comply with the word that has been committed in the decrees granted. Is that right? Because you totally totally went against the contract that I had with you, that my annual filing fee was $300, and then you bait and switched me and you turned it into $5,000, and you made it retroactive from the year prior of proposing it. Don't tell me that you will comply with the word that has been committed in the decrees granted. That is a lie. But these are politicians. We have to just anticipate that they're all compulsive liars. That's just part of the game. Rivera recognized the impact of said law mainly in the real estate market. A greater openness is necessary over the years. Contributions of 5% and 12% are very attractive when here. Employees pay between 25% to 30%, and local entrepreneurs about 33%. It is about providing a fair and adequate balance. It is to remain attractive while investors contribute something more to the country, he said. This is the thing, is that by being here, people that come for the tax incentives, their contributions are so beyond the $5,000 charity donation annually or the filing fees. It goes so much more beyond that. And this is the thing, is that there's definitely a sentiment even through the states of where like people hate the rich, like the rich are frequently hated, which I don't understand. Like, can you just make it a little bit more obvious that you're super jealous because you maybe don't work as hard as they do and you haven't found as much success as they had? But what I must say, that in Puerto Rico, it feels like hating the wealthy is taken to a bit of a higher level. I mean, I was walking down the road a few months back and I saw someone had spray painted, like they actually had a stencil to spray paint, kill the rich, okay? So by basically, he is talking over here about how he wants to provide a fair and adequate balance. So you're only attracting the ultra wealthy. You're just creating more of a separation in the wealth gap between the people of Puerto Rico and all the people coming here. There isn't as much of a balance if you're only attracting the super wealthy that can make a $5 million investment on the island. This is another problem, is that a lot of people in the Facebook group were saying there's not even like good opportunities out there to invest $5 million. They're like, yeah, sure. If there was a good opportunity to invest $5 million, I would be over it all day long. But the problem is that there's very limited opportunities to invest in something. So you have to pretty much like buy just a $5 million property, basically. So, if you're a minimalist, that doesn't really work out too well for your game plan. Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Francisco Paredes Alicia called on lawmakers to develop mechanisms for greater scrutiny on Act 2022 grantees. He noted that since 2017, the Treasury Department began auditing grantees with initiatives like digitalization programs, cost measurements, and the 100% electronic filing of income tax returns for individuals and corporations. So this is what's interesting. With the whole bait and switch on the $5,000 filing fee, this is the problem, is that I should have already done that and I could have just submitted the $300 by mail, but they changed it. You can't submit it by mail. You can't submit it in person. You can only submit it if you also submit the $5,000 fee that goes along with it. So basically what they're saying is that they're going to be harder on auditing people. That's great. That's fine. I don't care. I am in Puerto Rico way more than 183 days a year. I absolutely have a closer connection to Puerto Rico than I do to anywhere else. And so I am not concerned about any of that. And that's the good thing about just following the rules, is that you're like, I don't care if I get audited because I have a closer connection. I get in my days. I do everything that I'm supposed to. So basically, it looks like they're ramping up and they're going to specifically be coming after, wait for it, people that owe 0% capital gains. I don't know how accurate this is, but I think there's a really high percentage of Puerto Ricans that don't pay taxes at all. And then if basically 7 years pass, then like you get away with it. I don't know if that's true. I don't know the exact statistics on it, but something maybe for another video. So I would be curious to know if with this hike up to between 5 and 12%, if they're still going to require that $5,000 donation to a Puerto Rican charity. It wasn't specifically listed in here. The Senate comes back mid-August, so this is just a proposal. We're going to wait and see what happens. But I wanted to inform all of you because I talk about Puerto Rico a lot in my videos, and I talk about the amazing opportunities here, but the amazing opportunities are getting a heck of a lot less amazing. But what's cool is that Puerto Rico offers a lot of other tax incentives. I never see them changing those, though. For example, if you are a bona fide resident, or if you are a local here in Puerto Rico and you're between the ages of 16 and 36, you can start a company, and the first $500,000 or 3 years, whichever comes first, you don't pay any taxes. So there's a lot of tax incentives within Puerto Rico when it comes to tourism, real estate. There's a lot of great opportunities outside of just the capital gains. But, it doesn't make the deal nearly as sweet with all of these extra things that are super unrealistic. I don't know why they're trying to attract less people, but honestly, that 12% would totally be the nail in the coffin on the current program. So that's all I have for you today. I want to know what you think in the comments down below on this current proposal. That's all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.